On the night every she-wolf dreams of, Ayla is locked in the stables by her jealous stepsister to keep her from attending the mating ball. But when the Alpha King catches a strange scent, fear mixed with something intoxicating, the entire castle goes on lockdown. Chapter 1. A scream tore out of Ayla's throat before she could stop it. The wooden stall door slammed shut, the lock snapping into place as Leora's laughter echoed on the other side. Ayla lunged forward, grabbing the bars with shaking hands. "Leora, open this door. Please, don't do this. Not tonight." "Tonight is exactly why I'm doing it," Leora said sweetly, her face glowing with cruel satisfaction. "You really thought you could attend the mating ball? You, an Omega nobody?" Ayla shook the bars harder. "Father said I could go." "Father isn't here." Leora smirked and stepped back. "Only me, and I'm doing you a favor. Now you won't embarrass yourself in front of the Alpha King." "I wasn't going to embarrass anyone." "You exist. That's embarrassing enough." Ayla's stomach twisted as Leora turned and strutted away, her glittering silver gown brushing the hay-covered floor. The lantern light outside the stable flickered, casting Leora in a halo as she tossed her hair smugly. "Enjoy the view from here," Leora called. "I'll enjoy the ball, and who knows, maybe the Alpha King will choose me." The door to the outside creaked open and slammed shut, leaving Ayla in suffocating darkness. Ayla's breathing grew loud in her ears. The stables smelled like damp hay, cold wood, and fear, hers. She pulled at the chains around her wrists, metal scraping her skin. She didn't even know when Leora's guards had cuffed her. Everything had happened too fast. "This wasn't supposed to happen," Ayla whispered to herself. "Not tonight. Not like this." Outside, music began to drift across the grounds, soft, enchanting, laughter and drums weaving through the night. The mating ball had begun, the night every she-wolf dreamed of. Except her. She sank to her knees, heart shaking in her chest. She had spent hours secretly preparing her dress, a simple, pretty lilac gown sewn by an old seamstress who pitied her. She had imagined maybe, just maybe, someone might notice her. Not the Alpha King, never him, but someone. Someone who didn't laugh at her or order her around. Instead, she was in chains, locked away like a problem, a rejected Omega. She curled forward, pressing her forehead to her chained wrists. "Please, someone, just help me." The wind outside howled. A moment later, everything changed. A pulse rippled through the air, sharp, sudden, electric. Ayla stiffened. She didn't know how, but she felt something, or someone. The hairs on her arms rose. Then a voice thundered across the distant courtyard. "Seal the gates, now!" Ayla jerked upright. More voices followed, confusion, boots running across stone, tense orders. "What's happening?" Ayla whispered. The music outside stuttered to a stop. Another voice, this one deeper, colder, unmistakably authoritative, echoed next. "I said seal the gates!" It was the Alpha King. A chill swept down Ayla's spine. Why would the Alpha King be outside the ballroom? Why was he shouting? Why was the entire palace suddenly in chaos? Boots pounded closer, loud, fast. Ayla's chain rattled as she pushed backward against the stall wall. Someone slammed into the stable entrance. A guard shouted, "Your Majesty, let us check first." "No." The Alpha King's voice cut through the air like dark velvet sharpened by steel. "The scent is here." Ayla froze completely. Scent? His? Hers? The stable door flew open so violently it smacked the wall behind it. Lantern light flooded in. A tall, broad shadow filled the doorway, cloaked in midnight black, shoulders tense, eyes blazing gold under the hood. Ayla's breath caught. The Alpha King, Kyrian Thornbane. His gaze swept the dark stable like a predator tracking prey. When his eyes landed on Ayla, he stopped breathing. Ayla felt it, like the world itself stilled around them. His voice was low, too low, almost disbelieving. "You." Ayla trembled. She didn't know what to say or do or even breathe. Kyrian took one step forward. Ayla pressed herself against the wall, instincts surging. Stay back, please." But Kyrian wasn't listening. His nostrils flared slightly as if confirming the scent that had dragged him here. His expression changed, shock, confusion, something fierce and unreadable flickering behind his golden eyes. The lead guard moved beside him. "Your Majesty, she's an Omega girl? Probably snuck in here. She's not worth—" "Silence," Kyrian snapped. The guard stiffened and stepped back instantly. Kyrian's eyes stayed on Ayla. "Who locked you in here?" Ayla swallowed hard. I can't." "Who?" His voice dropped into something dangerous. Alya's throat tightened. "Leora." The name tasted like humiliation. Kyrian's jaw clenched. And why would she imprison another female on the night of the mating ball? "I don't know." Ayla's voice cracked. "Because she hates me. Because she didn't want me to attend." Kyrian's eyes narrowed, anger tightening the edges. "You were meant to attend." Ayla blinked. "No, Omegas aren't allowed unless invited." "Who told you that?" "My stepsister, and everyone else." Kyrian stepped closer, ignoring the guard's worried glance. "What is your name?" "Ayla," she whispered. Something flickered in his expression at the sound of it. He moved even closer now, so close she could see the gold flecks in his irises. His voice dropped rough and quiet. "Ayla, you belong at the ball more than anyone else tonight." Ayla's breath caught. "Why?" Kyrian exhaled slowly, like the truth was burning inside him. "Because the scent that brought me here, the scent that stopped the entire castle, was yours." Ayla's heart thumped painfully. That can't be true." He reached up, lifting a strand of hair that had fallen over her shoulder. His fingers didn't touch her skin, but the closeness made her tense. "It is true," he murmured, "and it means only one thing." Ayla shook her head rapidly. "No, please don't say it. Omegas don't—" "You are my fated mate." Ayla went still, completely, utterly still. Her breathing stopped, her pulse vanished, her thoughts scattered. "No," she whispered, voice cracking. "No, no, no, this must be a mistake." "There are no mistakes in the bond," Kyrian said softly. "I'm nobody," she whispered. "You can't be bound to me." He looked at her like she had just spoken something absurd. "The moon goddess decides, not me, not you." Ayla's eyes filled with tears. "Please, don't joke about this." "I do not joke," Kyrian said. "Ever." A deep, trembling breath escaped her. Everything around her felt unreal, impossible, terrifying. Suddenly, Kyrian's expression shifted, like he sensed something Ayla couldn't. He reached out and gripped her chain, snapping it with one brutal tug that made the guard flinch. Ayla gasped. "Whoever imprisoned you," Kyrian growled, "is going to answer to me." Ayla stumbled to her feet, dizzy from shock. "Wait," she whispered. "Kyrian, your Majesty, I can't be your mate. Someone is trying to kill me." Kyrian's eyes darkened with something lethal. "Then they just declared war." Before he could say more, another guard burst in. "Your Majesty, someone tampered with the lanterns in the ballroom. It's a trap." Kyrian's head snapped toward the entrance. Ayla grabbed his arm without thinking. "Please don't leave me here." His gaze locked onto hers again. "I'm never leaving you again." A shout echoed in the distance. Then another. Chaos erupted outside. Kyrian turned, grabbed Ayla's hand, and pulled her behind him as he stormed out of the stables. "Everyone move!" he roared. Ayla could feel her heart pounding against her ribs as the castle grounds exploded into panic. And she was right in the center of it, whether she wanted to be or not. If you're still watching this story, his voice boomed behind her in memory, hit the like button. Ayla didn't know what was happening, but she knew one thing. Tonight, everything had changed. Chapter 2. Kyrian's grip on Ayla's hand was firm, almost painful, but she didn't pull away. She barely registered the cold night air whipping her hair around her face, the chaos erupting behind them. The castle guards were running in every direction, orders shouted, lanterns swaying dangerously in the wind. Every instinct in her screamed that something was terribly wrong. "Where are we going?" she gasped, voice trembling. "Somewhere safe," Kyrian replied, never breaking stride. "I need to get you out of their reach before anyone else discovers you." "Who?" she asked, panic rising again. "Who wants me gone? Why would anyone lock me in the stables?" Kyrian glanced at her, golden eyes flashing. "Someone inside the palace. Someone who knows you exist and wants to erase you. Permanently." Ayla's stomach dropped. "Permanently? What do you mean?" "Someone doesn't want you at the mating ball," he said, his voice low and sharp. "But the prophecy, the bond, they can't erase what's been set in motion. They'll try, and if they succeed, it could destroy everything." She shook her head, unable to comprehend. "I don't understand. What prophecy? What bond? What are you talking about? What?" Kyrian's hand tightened on hers, pulling her closer as they ducked behind a row of hedges. "The prophecy says the Alpha King will find his mate in the shadows, hidden, forgotten, unseen by the world. That mate is you, Ayla. You were always meant to be mine." Her breath hitched. "Mine? No, you don't even know me. You barely—" "Enough!" He cut her off, eyes fierce. "You don't get to refuse. Not yet. Not when I can't risk losing you." Ayla stumbled back a step, her hands shaking. I'm not ready for this. I don't even know what this means." "You will," he said firmly. "But first, you need to survive the night." They moved quickly through the shadows, Kyrian leading with a predator's precision. Every corner, every passage, every flicker of light was a potential threat. Ayla's heart pounded in her chest as she tried to keep up. "You can't leave me here," she said suddenly, voice breaking. "You can't just take me like this, like I belong to you. I'm nobody. I don't even know how to be part of this world." Kyrian stopped abruptly and turned to face her, his expression unreadable, dangerous, and yet protective. "You are part of this world, Ayla. Whether you like it or not, you've already been woven into its threads, and anyone who thinks they can erase you will regret it." Her eyes widened. "What do you mean, anyone?" He exhaled sharply. "Your stepsister? She's clever, she's ruthless, but she's not the real threat. Someone higher, someone who sees you as a problem, someone who wants to control this kingdom and will remove anything in their way, including you." Ayla swallowed hard, panic rising with every heartbeat. She had imagined that tonight, at worst, she would be ignored at the mating ball, maybe laughed at by the nobles. She had never imagined anyone would try to kill her. Her hands clenched into fists. I don't want to be involved. I just wanted to see the ball, to have one night that was mine." "You'll have it," Kyrian said softly, his gaze softening for the briefest moment. "But only if you survive first." A shout rang out nearby. Someone was running, and the sound of metal clashing against stone made Ayla flinch. "They found us," Kyrian growled. "Move." They darted through a narrow passage between two wings of the palace. Ayla's lungs burned, her legs ached, but she didn't dare fall behind. She trusted him. Against all reason, she trusted him. They reached a small terrace overlooking the northern gardens. Kyrian pushed her behind a marble column and scanned the surroundings. Shadows shifted among the hedges, shapes moving too fast to be human, or at least not ordinary human guards. Who are they?" Ayla whispered, her voice trembling. "Enemies," Kyrian said. "They know about you. They know the prophecy, and they'll stop at nothing to make sure you don't survive." Her stomach knotted. "I don't understand. I'm just me." "No," he said firmly. "You're more than that, more than you realize. And tonight you'll see just how powerful you are, or how fragile you can seem." A sudden noise, a twig snapping, made her jump. Kyrian's golden eyes locked on the shadows. A figure emerged, hooded, moving too silently. Ayla gasped as another appeared behind it. "Stay behind me," Kyrian commanded, stepping in front of her, shoulders squared, aura fierce and commanding. The figure stopped, and a voice called out, cold and mocking. "Ah, so this is the fabled mate the Alpha King claims to have found." Ayla froze. Her heart raced. "Mate?" Kyrian didn't answer immediately. He only tensed, muscles coiled like a spring. "Leave," he said quietly, "before I show you why no one crosses me." The first figure laughed. "I don't think so. We're not leaving without her." Ayla's stomach dropped. She could see it now, the danger she had felt all night, the invisible strings pulling her into a trap. She wasn't safe, not even with the Alpha King. Kyrian's eyes softened briefly as he looked at her. "Stay calm," he whispered. "Trust me." She nodded, though fear twisted in her chest. I trust you." He barely smiled, a ghost of warmth, before shifting into motion. With a sudden burst, he lunged toward the figures, moving like a shadow in the night. Ayla's breath caught in her throat. She had never seen anything like it. His strength, his speed, the way he moved with absolute control over every step. The attackers recoiled, stunned. Kyrian's voice was sharp, commanding. "Step back!" Ayla's mind spun. She had imagined the Alpha King as untouchable, distant, and cold. But now she saw him in action, not as a figure of fear, but as someone willing to risk everything to protect her. Who are they?" she whispered again. "People who underestimate me," Kyrian said, voice low, deadly. And that was their first mistake. The hooded figures hesitated, glancing at each other. Kyrian advanced slowly, confidently, radiating a power that made Ayla's knees weak. Then, just as suddenly as it had started, they retreated, disappearing into the night with curses trailing behind them. Ayla sank against the marble column, chest heaving. Are they gone?" "For now," Kyrian said. His gaze softened, though the tension never left his posture. "But this night isn't over. You need to be careful. Very careful. Your stepsister isn't the only one who wants to see you fail." Ayla swallowed hard, fear and adrenaline coursing through her veins. I don't know if I can do this." Kyrian stepped closer, hand brushing against hers. "You don't have to do it alone. Not tonight. Not ever." Her heart skipped. She wasn't ready to accept everything this meant, this bond, this prophecy. But at that moment, she realized something. She was not helpless. Not completely. Not while he was here. A flicker of a smile ghosted across her face, trembling but real. "If I survive this," she whispered, "I'll need to know everything. The prophecy, the bond, why me?" Kyrian's golden eyes met hers, piercing and unyielding. "Then you'll know. Soon enough." For the first time that night, Ayla felt a small spark of hope amidst the fear, the chaos, the uncertainty. But even as she clung to it, a shadow moved across the terrace, someone watching, waiting. And she knew deep down that the danger was far from over. Chapter 3. The terrace was quiet for a moment, too quiet, and Ayla's senses screamed that they weren't safe yet. She hugged herself, shivering despite the night air, and glanced at Kyrian. He was calm, but the gold in his eyes glimmered with something raw, anger, power, and unspoken warnings. "We need to move," he said finally. "The palace isn't secure. Someone knows you're here, Ayla. I can feel it." "Where are we going?" she asked, voice small. "To a place where no one can find you tonight. After that, we'll figure out the rest." Ayla hesitated, torn between fear and trust. She had spent her whole life hiding, staying quiet, trying not to exist. But something about Kyrian's presence, his intensity, made her feel like she mattered, like someone truly saw her. She nodded, trembling. "Okay." Kyrian took her hand again, and they moved quickly down the garden paths, shadows stretching long under the moonlight. Each step made her more aware of every sound, the snap of a twig, the rustle of leaves, the faint whisper of movement. She realized the guards outside might not be the only danger. Someone in the palace, someone close, wanted her gone tonight. "They were here," she said suddenly, voice barely above a whisper. "The people who attacked you? I've seen them before. They work in the ballroom." Kyrian's jaw tightened. "I know." Ayla froze. You know?" "I've been tracking threats all night," he said. "You're not the only target, Ayla. I've sensed others, wolves who have been planning for months. Your presence tonight upset their plans." Her stomach churned. They want me dead?" "They don't want you alive," he said flatly. "And they'll do anything to make sure you don't sit in the light where you belong." Ayla's breath caught, but she didn't back away. Somehow, being told the truth, terrifying as it was, made her feel less invisible. They reached a small gazebo near the edge of the northern gardens. Kyrian pushed aside the vines, ushering her inside. It was simple, protected by walls of climbing ivy, far from any path the guards would patrol tonight. "Stay here," he instructed. "I'll scout the perimeter. No one comes near you." Ayla swallowed. "Kyrian." "Yes?" "You don't have to protect me." His eyes softened just slightly. "I want to protect you. That's the difference." She looked down, suddenly aware of the pounding in her chest. "Why me?" Kyrian's gaze darkened as though weighing the right words. "Because fate doesn't make mistakes. The bond was meant to happen. You were meant to be found, hidden though you were. No one else carries your scent, your strength. No one else can survive what's coming tonight." Ayla's fingers trembled. "What's coming?" Before he could answer, a rustle in the bushes made them both freeze. "Not again," Kyrian muttered, moving swiftly to the entrance. He crouched low, ready, every muscle tense. Ayla followed his lead, crouching beside him, holding her breath. A figure emerged, a young she-wolf, familiar and trembling, dressed in a pale green gown. She looked terrified, but determined. "Ayla," the girl whispered, I had to warn you." Ayla's heart leapt. You know about the attack?" The girl nodded, voice quivering. "I overheard Leora talking to someone else. They're planning to stop you from attending the ball. Permanently. I had to help." Kyrian's eyes narrowed. "Who else is involved?" "I don't know exactly," the girl admitted. "But there's someone in the council. Someone higher than anyone expected. They're using the ball as a distraction." Ayla's chest tightened. "The council?" "Yes," Kyrian said, voice low and dangerous. "And if they succeed, you won't survive tonight." Ayla shook, the weight of the revelation pressing down on her. "Why me?" Kyrian's gaze softened again. "Because you're the one the prophecy chose. You were always meant to be seen." The girl interrupted, pointing nervously toward the palace. "They're coming, now. You have to leave." Kyrian didn't hesitate. He grabbed Ayla's hand and pulled her behind him. "Stay close," he ordered. "No mistakes, not tonight." They moved swiftly through hidden paths, winding around hedges, slipping between shadows. Every step brought the sound of hurried footsteps behind them, enemies closing in. Ayla's heart pounded in her chest. "Kyrian, how can you be so calm?" "I'm not calm," he admitted quietly. "I'm focused. One mistake, and you're gone." Her knees almost buckled, but his steady grip kept her upright. Finally, they reached a small clearing. A hidden carriage waited, drawn by black wolves, silent, obedient, and ready. Kyrian opened the door and helped Ayla inside. As the carriage began moving, pulled swiftly into the cover of the forest, Ayla finally allowed herself to breathe. The chaos of the palace seemed miles away, yet she knew in her gut the danger wasn't over. Where are we going?" she asked, voice trembling. "Somewhere safe," Kyrian repeated. somewhere we can plan. Tonight isn't just about survival, it's about discovering the truth. Ayla looked out the window as the palace disappeared behind the trees, golden lights fading into the night. Her mind raced. She thought of Leora, the council, the prophecy, and the Alpha King himself. The man who had saved her life, declared her his fated mate, and brought chaos to her world all in one night. Her hands clenched. "I have to know everything," she whispered. I can't live like this, wondering who wants me gone." Kirian glanced at her, the shadows of the forest highlighting the intensity of his expression. "Soon," he promised. "Everything will be revealed. But first, you need rest, strength, because once they discover you're gone, they won't stop hunting." Ayla nodded, unsure if she would ever sleep again, but grateful for the brief safety. The carriage moved swiftly into the darkness, leaving the palace and the chaos of the ball behind. But the echoes of the night, the whispers of danger, and the weight of the prophecy stayed with her, heavy in her chest. She was no longer just a hidden Omega. She was the mate of the Alpha King. She was the center of a deadly game, and survival was only the beginning. Chapter 4. The carriage rattled along the forest path, the wheels crunching over gravel. Ayla pressed herself against the door, still trying to comprehend everything that had happened. Chains, traps, prophecy, the Alpha King's words. It all swirled in her mind like a storm she couldn't escape. Kirian sat across from her, eyes alert, golden gaze sweeping the dark forest outside. The faint moonlight highlighted the sharp lines of his face, and Ayla felt her chest tighten. There was no softness in him, not yet, but something powerful, undeniable, and terrifying. Are we safe?" she asked quietly. "For now," he replied. "But not for long. Once the palace realizes you're gone, they'll send everything they have to find you." Ayla swallowed hard. "Why me? Why is everyone so afraid of me?" Kirian's expression darkened. "Because you are more than just an Omega. You carry the bond, and that bond, it changes everything. Anyone who underestimates it will regret it." She shook her head. "I don't understand. I'm just me. I've never been important." "You are important," Kirian said firmly. "More important than you realize. And tonight, you've already survived what would have destroyed most others." Ayla shivered at the memory. The chains, the stables, the terrifying golden gaze that had stopped her heart. "I don't know if I can do this," she admitted, voice trembling. "You can," Kirian said, "because you have to, and because I won't let you fail, not while I'm alive." Her heart pounded. The words, though simple, carried a weight she couldn't explain. She had spent years hiding, pretending she was invisible, and now, here, someone powerful, unstoppable, feared by everyone, had declared that he would protect her. The carriage slowed as they approached a clearing. A small cabin emerged from the shadows, smoke curling from the chimney. A sense of safety, fragile but real, wrapped around her chest. "This is," she began. "Safe for tonight," Kirian interrupted. "No one will find you here, not tonight. Rest, gather your strength, and tomorrow, we begin uncovering who betrayed you." Ayla nodded silently. Her legs trembled as she stepped out of the carriage. The crisp night air hit her face. She had never felt so exposed, and yet so alive. Inside the cabin, firelight flickered across the walls. It was small, simple, and surprisingly warm. Kirian gestured to a chair near the hearth. "Sit," he commanded softly. She sank into it, hands clutching the arms, staring at him. "Why did you come for me? Why not just let them do whatever they wanted?" "Because no one touches my mate," he said simply. Her throat tightened at the words. Mate. She had heard it before, but now it carried a weight she couldn't ignore. "Mate," she whispered. I don't even understand it. I barely know you. And you're calling me." "I'm calling you mine," he finished. His voice was low, steady, and filled with a certainty that made her stomach twist. And no one in this world will take that from you. Not your stepsister, not the council, not anyone. Ayla's breath hitched. The power in his words, the force behind them, made her feel both terrified and strangely safe. She didn't want to admit it, but for the first time in her life, she felt noticed, valued, wanted. Kirian moved closer, settling on the edge of the table. His gaze never left hers. "I need you to trust me tonight," he said. "Trust me with your life, your safety, everything. I won't let you down." She wanted to protest, to say she didn't belong in this world, that she was nothing, but the look in his eyes silenced her. She nodded, barely audible. "I trust you." "Good," he said, "because the moment we step outside this cabin tomorrow, everything changes, and not everyone will be kind." Ayla's mind raced. "You said someone higher up in the council is after me. Who?" Kirian's jaw tightened. "I don't know yet, but I will find out. They've been planning this for months. Someone wanted to ensure the prophecy never comes true. And you being found tonight ruined their plan." She shivered. "Why me? Why not someone else?" "Because the bond is specific," Kirian said. "It chooses, and it has chosen you. Whether you like it or not, you are fated. And the world will try to stop fate. But fate is stronger." Her chest tightened at the word fated. Everything about it felt unreal. She had spent her life hiding, believing she was ordinary, invisible, insignificant, and now she was the center of a prophecy that even the Alpha King feared. A knock at the cabin door startled her. Kirian's hand went to his dagger instinctively. "Who's there?" he called. A familiar voice answered softly. "It's me. I couldn't let you face this alone." Ayla's eyes widened as the young she-wolf from earlier stepped inside, eyes wide with fear and determination. I overheard more plans. They're moving faster than we thought." Kirian's eyes narrowed. "Tell me everything." The girl swallowed and spoke quickly, detailing the whispered plans she had overheard at the ball. Leora was involved, of course, but there were others, wolves in positions of power, nobles who resented Kirian, advisors who had always coveted influence over the Alpha's decisions. They had prepared traps, spread rumors, and now, with Ayla locked away and the ball in chaos, they intended to eliminate her permanently. Ayla's stomach twisted. "All this? Because of me?" "Yes," Kirian said firmly. "Because of you, and because of the bond." The girl nodded. "They won't stop. Not until they see her gone, or broken." Ayla clenched her fists. I won't let them." Kirian's gaze softened slightly. "You won't have to, not alone. We fight together." The fire crackled in the hearth, casting flickering shadows across their faces. Outside, the wind howled, carrying the distant echoes of the palace in chaos. Ayla felt the weight of the night pressing down, but she also felt something else: strength, determination, a spark of courage she hadn't known she possessed. "Tomorrow," Kirian said, voice low and commanding, "we uncover the truth, we find the traitors, and we ensure no one ever threatens you again." Ayla nodded, feeling a resolve settle deep in her chest. "I'm ready," she whispered. I want to fight, I want to survive, and I want to know the truth." Kirian's golden eyes gleamed. "Then we begin at first light. Rest tonight. You'll need all your strength." As the fire burned, Ayla finally let herself breathe. The night had been terrifying, the danger immediate, but for the first time, she felt like she had an ally she could trust, a protector who would not falter. And as the shadows danced across the walls of the cabin, Ayla realized something she hadn't dared to admit. Maybe, just maybe, she was ready for what was coming. Chapter 5. Ayla barely slept that night. The fire's warmth did little to calm her racing mind. Every creak of the cabin, every whisper of wind through the trees, made her heart leap. She thought of the stables, Leora's mocking laughter, the golden eyes of the Alpha King, and the prophecy that had suddenly turned her life upside down. Kirian had stayed awake longer than her, pacing silently, listening to the forest. When he finally stopped, he looked at her with that unyielding intensity that made her chest ache. "The morning will decide everything," he said quietly. "They won't stop hunting you. The council, Leora, they're organized. They think the shadows protect them." Ayla swallowed hard. "But we have the prophecy on our side. Right?" Kirian's jaw tightened. "The prophecy doesn't fight. It only reveals what will be. We have to act. And we have to act fast." The first rays of dawn painted the sky in pale gold as they slipped out of the cabin. Kirian led her through the forest, each step silent, precise. Ayla followed, her heart pounding, mind spinning with anticipation and fear. They were heading back toward the palace, back to the chaos they had narrowly escaped. As they neared the outer walls, the first signs of disturbance became clear. Smoke rose from the gardens, and distant shouting echoed through the morning air. Guards and nobles ran in all directions, some armed, others screaming orders. The mating ball had become a battlefield. "They've already started," Kirian muttered. "The distraction was meant to make you disappear, but now they're panicking." Ayla's stomach twisted. Who is behind all this?" He didn't answer immediately, only scanned the palace roofline, his senses alert to every movement. "We'll find out," he said finally. "But first, we need to secure the council chamber. That's where the leaders are hiding their plans." They moved quickly, slipping past guards, dodging nobles, and using the chaos as cover. Ayla's legs burned, but fear sharpened her focus. For the first time, she realized the Alpha King hadn't been exaggerating. This was not a game. This was survival, and it had only just begun. As they neared the grand entrance to the council chamber, Kirian held up a hand. "Stop," he whispered. "We have company." Ayla's eyes widened. 3 figures in dark cloaks stepped from the shadows, blocking their path. Their presence was commanding, their intent unmistakable. "Alpha King," one of them said smoothly, voice dripping with malice. "You shouldn't have come here. She doesn't belong with you." "She does belong with me," Kirian said, his voice low and dangerous. "Step aside." The figures laughed, a cold, humorless sound. "You underestimate us," the tallest said. "The council doesn't answer to you anymore. The prophecy means nothing if she doesn't survive the night." Ayla's pulse quickened. "Kirian, what do we do?" He glanced at her, golden eyes blazing. "Stay behind me, and Ayla, remember your strength." She nodded, trembling, but the fire in his gaze gave her courage. The tallest, cloaked figure stepped forward, dagger glinting in the early light. "You're too late. She's already been marked. Once the ritual begins, she'll belong to us, or she'll die." Ayla's chest tightened. "Marked? Ritual?" "Don't move," Kirian growled. "Not a step." The figures advanced, and in a blur of movement, Kirian leapt forward, knocking one back with terrifying precision. Ayla's breath caught as he moved like a shadow, strong and unstoppable. "You're too slow," he said, his voice cold as steel. "And you've underestimated me." Ayla felt fear and awe collide in her chest. She had never seen someone fight like this, not even in training. Each strike, each block, each precise movement was calculated, perfect, and utterly lethal. The cloaked figures hesitated, exchanging glances, and in that moment, Kirian turned to Ayla. "Run," he commanded. "Get to the chamber." She didn't argue. Adrenaline surged, and she bolted forward, slipping through a side entrance into the council chamber. The room was empty, yet she could feel the presence of those who had plotted against her. Papers lay scattered, magical wards faintly glowing. Someone had been here, planning. Ayla's eyes fell on a table in the center. Documents, letters, and maps detailed plans to discredit the Alpha King, seize power, and erase her from the prophecy. Her stomach twisted with shock. "They're planning to destroy everything," she whispered. A movement behind her made her spin around. Kyrian stepped into the doorway, chest heaving, golden eyes blazing with fury. "And they nearly did," he said. "But not today. Not while I'm alive. Not while you're alive." Her knees threatened to buckle. I don't know if I can—" "You can," he interrupted, "because I won't let them win. And because the bond doesn't allow it. You are mine, Ayla, fated, protected, and powerful beyond your understanding." Ayla swallowed hard. The reality of her position, the truth of her destiny, pressed down like a weight she could barely bear. She was not just an Omega, she was the center of a prophecy, the Alpha King's fated mate, and the target of enemies who would stop at nothing. Her resolve hardened. "Then we fight," she said quietly. "Together." Kyrian's lips curved slightly, a rare, fleeting expression of pride. "Together," he agreed. Suddenly, a soft whisper echoed through the chamber. A shadow detached itself from the corner, a figure cloaked in white, face hidden. Ayla's stomach dropped. "You thought you could hide from me?" the voice said, chilling and familiar. "You're mine, and mine alone." Ayla froze. Her blood ran cold. Recognition struck her like lightning. Kyrian's eyes narrowed, dangerous and unreadable. "No," he growled. "Not tonight." The shadow stepped closer, the hood falling back to reveal a face Ayla never expected. Someone she had trusted, someone who had smiled in her presence, someone who had plotted her downfall all along. Ayla's breath caught. "No, it can't be." And before she could react, the figure lunged toward her. Kyrian moved like lightning, but the chamber erupted into chaos. The prophecy, the council's betrayal, the danger she had narrowly escaped in the stables, it all collided in a moment that left Ayla's heart hammering. She realized with a sinking certainty that this night was far from over. Far from over. And the moment froze in her mind, the shadow, the dagger, Kyrian's golden eyes blazing with fury and her own pulse pounding like a war drum. The fight for her life, her destiny, and her bond had only just begun.